Hello and welcome back to Talking Europe. Over the last 20 years, European elections have attracted a lot of buzz in the media, but not that much enthusiasm among voters. Turnout since 1999 has rarely ever reached 50%. And yet, these elections next year are an opportunity to choose representatives that help to shape and decide on new laws that affect most aspects of our lives across the European Union. Those representatives become members of the European Parliament, the world's only directly elected transnational assembly. In June 2024, more than 400 million people across the EU will get to choose a new parliament for a 5-year term. There's no shortage of critical issues to vote on, from the green transition, inflation and energy prices, to migrants and borders. But do voters actually feel that these elections are important? Well, my guests today are pollsters and researchers who are well placed to provide some answers. They are Guillaume Closer, president and founder of the Europa Nova think tank. Welcome to you, Guillaume. And
Thanks, Armin.
I should also say that your book, European Pride, was shortlisted for the European Book Prize. And I'm also pleased to welcome Stuart Shaw, Director of Research at the public affairs firm Kantar. Stuart, welcome to you as well. Let's start with a piece of your recent research about people's interest in these European elections. If we look at a graphic, we can see that 67% of Europeans say that they're likely to vote if an election was held next week. And then we have a figure for undecided voters. This is in the French context, but I'm sure it's similar in other European countries. 20% of French voters would be undecided as to which party list to vote for. Let's just focus on the 67%. That seems extremely high. As I said, turnout has been pretty low.
Yes, can be confident, but I would like to introduce my answer, if I can, with by giving some information, background information. We have several data from Kantar Public Eurobarometer, and these data are very interesting. First, we see that 71% of European citizens recognize the influence of the European Union on their daily lives. So it's a very high score. In France, we are 67%, so it's about average. So it's a very important point to recognize this influence on our lives. And the second point, despite this influence, in France especially, only 35% of French people have a good image of European Union. So it's a low score. At European level, we are at 55, I think, so 10 points higher. So it's a second important point in my point of view. So yes, to conclude, we can see that 77% of citizens could vote.
It's 67%
could vote.
Yeah.
So
what do you think of that figure? I mean, as I said, turnout hasn't been high in elections for the European Parliament.
At the same time, you are right on the long term.
Yeah.
But if we take the last European election, turnout was 10 points higher than the previous European election. And in many member states, it was 10 or 20 points higher than national election. So it means that in many member states, people vote more for European election than national election. So I would qualify what you have said, which is the first point. The second point is, and what Stuart has just said is very important, people are very aware that Europe has a key role in their daily life. And this is due already for the last European election, they were aware of it. We with the civic movement, Civico Europa, we made the We European consultation with make.org, and we consulted 40 million Europeans. And the results we had were very interesting. The first thing is, regarding digital consultation, they voted twice, they participated twice more for a European digital consultation than for a national one. So you see, it is not obvious. And second, the result we had concerning the topic, and the question was, if you were in charge of the future of Europe, what should be the priority, were the following: sustainable development, climate, environment first, democracy second, social affairs, retirement, health, etc. Third, GAFA regulation. Fourth,
tech giants.
Yes. Yes, tech giant fourth, and education and research. So citizens, when they are asked as European citizens and not as national citizens to say what are the priorities of Europe, they are very responsible. And last point, regarding what Stuart has said, regarding France, we are in a very specific and paradoxical situation. Because if you take topic by topic and ask French citizens what they think about the influence of Europe on their daily life, it's positive or very, very positive. If you speak about the image of Europe in France, it's very negative. Yeah. So there is a contradiction.
Yeah. On the French situation, I want to show our viewers one other bit of some more figures. And again, this is from your research, Stuart. This is just voting intentions in France. 32% said they could vote for the National Rally, which is the main far-right party in France. And actually, among young people, that figure is even higher. 27% say they could vote for the Greens. Just walk us through those two things.
Yes. We made a survey which to identify which parties the French people might vote for, and there is 3 points. First, we have 32% of French people could vote for the extreme right list, Marine Le Pen list, Rassemblement National. The Greens are 2 because 27% of French people could vote for them. So it's a leader. They are a leader on the left wing. And third, we can say that Macron's party is coming third, but also equal with traditional right party, Les Républicains. So it's surprising for us because President Macron is a president who is identified like a president who believes in the European project. So it's early, but and a lot can change. But we have a lot of challenge in France.
So what does that tell us? That people have a different way of viewing the European elections, as Guillaume was saying, to the way they would vote in a national election?
Yes, I think the most difficult for French people is to recognize that many answers and many responses on their politic topics should be taken at European level. Like in example, when you ask people to rank issues and priority issues, you have inflations, the fight against poverty, you have health, and you have climate change. So people need to understand that the answer of these issues should be taken at the European level.
But there is a contradiction, in fact, because when you speak with national political leaders and even journalists, and they said in a one-to-one discussion, this topic should be taken at European level. This should be, but we can't say it to our public opinion, we can't say it to our voters, because if we say it, what is our role? And you have the contradiction of national rally, Rassemblement National, which is, on the one side, they say we need a national approach, but at the same time, they say we need a European answer for energy, we need a European answer for inflation, we need a European answer. So we are in a period, in fact, where everybody is aware that the most important issue of the time should be dealt at European level, but if politicians, media, etc. say that, they undermine their legitimacy and they oblige themselves to think completely differently. And nobody wants to question itself.
What do you think of that paradox, Stuart?
Yes, I think that if candidates and politicians want to mobilize young people to vote and all citizens to vote and be interested on this European election, they need to provide some ideas, some concrete actions about these priority topics. And I have an example: climate change. So the politician needs to communicate more about the European action and concrete European actions.
When you say politicians, you mean what, national or European
both.
ones?
I think both, because it's very important to have this two levels.
I can give you an example, because if you listen to certain political leaders, I think two examples in mind, the Portuguese Prime Minister or the Greek Prime Minister. And each time the Greek Prime Minister speaks, he put the answer in a European context. He was questioned by, I think, the Financial Times editor-in-chief, and he said to him, but why don't you ask me the role of Europe and the positive role of Europe? This is your job and you are not doing it. And so you saw the role of the political leadership to reposition the question. But I just want to react also, because we can be surprised by the score of National Rally and European Green. On the one side, if you listen to the far right, the rhetoric is changing. They don't say we need the Frexit. They don't say anymore we need to stop the euro. They say we want an efficient European Union. So if you vote for them, you are not against Europe. You are just for an effective, a more efficient European Union. And there is a complete paradox when you listen to Prime Minister, the Italian Prime Minister Meloni, who is her first advisor, a federalist, Mario Draghi, and she could push for him for the head of the European Council. So you see that the far right, somehow, sometime, is completely changing the rule of the game.
Which might explain that high figure of voting intentions for the national rally.
So if you want to support Europe, somehow they say, but vote for us.
We'll have to end it there. Thank you so much to both of my guests, Stuart Shaw and Guillaume Closer. That's all for this episode of Talking Europe. I'll see you next time.